Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain, so.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Well, yeah, while we all grapple with questions and more questions about security, it just appears as though, who knows? I mean, yesterday you have a lot of unfortunate scenarios, killings in different parts of the country, even right after the show. And Governor Benue State has been speaking up, Nigerian State Governor, among the latest governors who have lent their voices and continue to do so.
That's
to ensure
beside,
that things go right.
That's beside the youths in Benue who already also voiced their displeasure and disgust.
And they're all saying, they seem to be gravitating towards one thing. If the state cannot help us, we will resort to self-help. How did we get here? Those are some of the big questions. And, it's something that you just wonder the mindset of certain people in certain quarters. But while all of that, plays out, there's every tendency, it's got the huge likelihood that you just may get stuck on all of these security challenges, everything revolves
and not look at other issues.
Exactly, that are equally important happening in society. But it's very instructive to note and state that, some of these people are emboldened because if they do it once, twice, the law doesn't catch up with them, they feel that's a sign, that's a signal that we can do it again. There's something you have talked about. We've established it here, and you continue to make it recurrent every time we have reason to. And that's the leadership recruitment process. Yep.
The expectation, for instance, is that we recruit people to do certain jobs. When they don't do the job they are supposed to do, we're asking questions. I was in a conversation with a friend yesterday, and it was the issue was, like, why am I acting this way towards a particular colleague? We were working on a project together. And I told the fellow, I said, I don't do sentiments when it comes to work.
Yeah.
Once it's work, you can't deliver, I guess someone else who can. It's just as simple, as that. And I wish it was that simple in governance.
Oh, yeah, no.
Unfortunately, we have to do this every 4 years. And we have been talking over and over again about that process. And I guess that's why the National Assembly has their own job cut out for them.
It's a very good point, because that leadership recruitment process, if we get that right, we may not be talking about this kind of challenges today.
Certainly.
And remember about 3-4 times last time out, the last National Assembly tried to amend, in fact, they did amend the Electoral Act, and it never got passed. So this assembly did promise Nigerians a certain date that they were going to deliver. And look at the clock now and time, day. So they may think there's still time, but a coalition of civil society groups think, no, we don't think there's more time, because you know how these things work. Once it gets to, who knows, December this year, a lot of activities will kick on. And things, of course, you have the Anambra elections coming up, you have several other elections coming up, state elections, and so that may get them all occupied. So they think that it's just about time that the National Assembly presents, it's gone, I think, gone by the first or the second reading. So they're saying that they want them to expedite action such that they will present that bill for the third and final reading in both chambers of the Assembly, such that it can then be passed on to the President, who is expected to assent to it, and we'll have a new electoral law taking into cognizance all of those previous huge challenges that we had last time out. So we can enhance that leadership recruitment process.
Well, one of the things that makes that, for me, stand out is that perhaps it will also address some of the issues of the bundled work, so to speak, that the INEC has had to do. We also, of course, many may have seen that announcement of the Electoral Offences Commission, you know, that's also been proposed at the public hearing, you know, from the National Assembly. How that will also play out, one waits to see, because, you know, part of the things that security specialists that we've had here have told us over and over again is that there is an increase in security threats or risks when elections are coming. And after the elections are down, it would seem like it doesn't completely go down back to ground zero, just kind of tapers down. And that's kind of the reverberating thing that we have seen over and over again that is happening now. Yeah. But you see, perhaps that also underscores a major challenge, which is, what is the national ethos? When you want to recruit people in an organization, you don't recruit carpenters, all of them carpenters in a hospital. Yeah. You don't recruit lawyers, only lawyers, who do not have presentation skills in broadcasting. You recruit people who can do what they need to do for certain specific assignments. So what is the national ethos, and to what end do we recruit people into the National Assembly, into the state houses of assembly, into the local government houses of assembly, because people don't even know that they make laws at that level as well? What is the national ethos? That question is still there. You know, we have the motto of Nigeria: unity and faith, peace and progress. Do we have those four right now?
Well, the civil society groups think that they shouldn't waste any more time on some of these matters. In fact, they think that this is one of the first items that should have been passed as soon as elections were over, so that people know what to expect moving forward. So here's what some of them did say at the time.
The next general election in Nigeria is about 20 months away, and for these civil society groups, time is fast running out for the passage of a new electoral law that will guide the process. The amendment has already scaled first and second reading in both chambers of the National Assembly. This group wants the federal lawmakers to expedite the process.
The urgent need for reforming the electoral legal framework is founded on the broad-based consensus by Nigerian citizens. The seeming lack of progress in the National Assembly on the Electoral Amendment Bill is therefore worrisome. Reforming the electoral legal framework for credible elections is a top priority. National Assembly must pass the Electoral Amendment Bill now.
The National Assembly must recognize that passing the electoral bill in good time will engender expeditious action by the executive. The speedy enactment of the bill will give the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the legal clarity to adequately plan and efficiently conduct future elections.
The group also lists some priority areas that the National Assembly should pay attention to in the ongoing amendment.
No election can be termed free, fair, and credible until that election is inclusive. And I'm here to present 10 citizen demands. Number one, strengthening the financial and operational independence of Independent National Electoral Commission. Number two, legislating the use of technology in the electoral process with particular emphasis on the biometrics, voter register, electronic voting, electronic collation and transmission of results.
President of the Senate had earlier in the year promised to facilitate the passage of the new Electoral Act by the end of March, but that promise never came to fruition. Hence, this gathering is happening at the National Assembly to renew pressure on the lawmakers.
All right, let's start with Nigerian Tribune. Look at what they lead with this morning. Autumn blasts Buhari. That's the lead one in front of Nigerian Tribune this morning, and many may have seen that yesterday. Alleges president working for the Fulani. Suspected herdsmen attack IDP camp, kill 7. So that is what you see right there. And so it was visibly angry. I mean, clearly, we wouldn't take that. So that's their lead story here today. Well, they've got several other stories concerning state of the nation, so you could just see pockets of them right there. But that's Tribune this morning.
The Guardian newspaper comes next, and this is the lead. Buhari seeks help from U.S. over rising insecurity. And in the host of riders there, Senators jittery over fear of Boko Haram's closeness to Abuja. At National Assembly, Adeyemi weeps, seeks end to killings. Declare state of emergency on security, reps tell Buhari. Zulum, I visited Aso to tell Buhari the truth. Wike imposes night curfew on all rivers borders, says Nigeria has collapsed. 47 days after abduction, bandits release video of Kaduna students. Oh dear. Unknown gunmen set Federal High Court ablaze in Ebonyi. Find all of that on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, and it continues on page 2. Right under the picture you see there, tough times ahead for states as FG insists on bailout repayment. Doesn't seem that this one is going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh dear.
States will push burden to citizens, says Ajibola. Well,
what does that mean?
What would the states do now? I mean, IGR is gonna have to go on a hike, and then, you know, perhaps also, God forbid, that the kind of things that we have seen happen in Lagos, where we understand that, you know, in the drive for IGR, perhaps, you know, on the streets, you know, in the markets, you know, there was some fracas here and there, you know, in different parts of the state. But let's just hope it never gets to that. Hopefully, we're able to come to some understanding.
Yeah, even though they always tell us hope is not a strategy. So we don't understand how they say states will push the burden to citizens, as though states is a company manufacturing a product and then push it onto the consumer. That shouldn't be the mindset. There's several avenues, several opportunities, several resources, policies that they can make to ensure that it's easier for people to do business in the country.
That's
not with businesses running away from the country.
That's
how do you intend to get those funds?
That's the thing. You know, we referenced that ease of doing business thing, that, you know, that we had just 2 states pilot cases in 2 states, and we saw Nigeria jump up like about 5 or 6 steps. What happens if we replicate that? What will it cost to replicate that in all of the states? But I guess, you know, we'll wait to see. Nigeria needs tough policy decisions, says economists. Many states not generating enough. Who said that? The story is on the front page, continues on page 2. Good morning, Mokwe.
Good morning, Ayo, and good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning, Nigerians. Let's quickly look at what the Vanguard has on the front page for you this morning. Look at it. Insecurity is also their lead story. Tearful Autumn reps call for emergency. That's what you find on the front page. It's a page 5 read there. Governor Tom Whip says armed militia invade Benue IDP camp, kill 7, injure 9. Benue youths lay corpses on Makodi Lafia Road, threaten reprisals. Calls on Buhari to declare emergency on security. Nigeria walking to its end. That's according to MBF. You might want to know that will be the Middle Belt Forum. Declare state of emergency on security now. Reps tell Buhari. Buhari meets Zulum Tinubu Akonde in Aso Rock, urges U.S. to relocate AFRICOM headquarters to Africa. I'm in Aso Rock to tell Buhari the truth. That's from Zulum. An army rages against sharing photos of slain soldiers on social media. Well, I don't know if people are doing that to humiliate the army, but some people might say it's the way that the people know to mourn their soldiers and perhaps protest what is also going on with the killing of so many soldiers. But the army is not happy about that. Page 5 will give you details. You also see there banks sacked 8,584 staff in 2020. Perhaps the CBN might have something to say about that statistic. 8,584 staff were sacked from banks in the year 2020. We're suffering consequences of 1975 coup. That's according to Lai Mohammed. Anxiety as gunmen burn Federal High Court in Ebonyi. That's also there. Darkness awaits us if attacks on schools continue, says Atiku. It's a page 4 read. And you have a number of other stories on top of the nameplate. Columnists also writing. But if you flip to the back page of the Vanguard, you might want to look at Vanguard Sports, CAF Confed Cup. Huge blow for Eyimba as they face Orlando Pirates in about. Man City fans beg club to resign Iheanacho and Ajuwa Max golden jump 25th anniversary. Indeed, we did have our golden moments in sports. Will we get it back? We don't know. But you might want to look at Mr. and Mrs. and maybe cheer up a today. Mr. is saying, pardon me, dear, if I sound old-fashioned, I know of slay queens. Do we have slay kings? Or better still, what is the masculine gender of slay queen? Mrs. response? She says, he-goat. I don't know what that is about, but let's leave it there for Vanguard newspapers.
No way! I didn't expect that. Okay, that's cruel, man. Come on. No, it's like what the army is telling people. Stop displaying corpses of soldiers on the streets. It's not right. But how come Mrs. even say that? Well, take a look at blueprints. That's the very next one, and it's still on security as well. But it's coming from the Senate this time around. Senate on worsening insecurity. It's shameful. Nigeria is on fire. Orders massive recruitment into the military and police. Yeah, you heard this before. You may ask, okay, how much of is this the root cause of the problem? And then you see NAS meets Buhari, summons service chiefs. Buhari wants AFRICOM headquarters relocated to Africa. 7 Benue IDBs killed in their sleep. FHC set ablaze in Ebonyi. That's Federal High Court. Mob kills kidnapper, raises Sokoto DPO's office. Darkness looms if we don't end the tax on citadels of learning, ascribed to Atiku. So you got all of this here. And this has been pretty much what the headlines have been about in the last couple of months in the country. What am I saying months? Years, as a matter of fact. And then you find, we did tell you that this insecurity challenge has a way of hugging the major headlines, and it could detract from several other things. Well, not that it's not important, of course it's very important. But look at this other matter. FG rolls out digital switch over tomorrow. Says decoders to create 50,000 jobs. TV, 200,000. Film, 400,000. So that's blueprints this morning.
Well, I hope people will even understand what our government is saying when they talk about this digital switchover, because people really need to understand just what that means for me. The Daily Trust newspaper has this one also talking about insecurity. As you heard, it's like the main thing everyone is talking about now. Buhari seeks U.S. help, wants AFRICOM relocated to Africa. What is that about? AFRICOM is the U.S.'s Africa Command, located in Germany. Find out what the details are. No partnership can solve Nigeria's problems, says UK minister. Senate calls for sophisticated arms, more security personnel. Declare state of emergency. Reps tell president. Same thing the governor of Benue State said. Strengthen ties with neighbors, bring mercenaries, experts say. The story you find on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And what you referenced the other time makes it to the front page. Stop sharing photos of soldiers killed in action. Army pleads. Find the details on the inside pages. Electricity tariff review. Consumers experts urge FG to soft pedal. About time. The details are on the inside pages. Under the pictures you see there, IPOB attacks. Wike imposes curfew on rivers boundaries. Find that story on page 6 of the papers this morning. And well, I don't know what you make of this one. El Rufai, why I reviewed my past position on negotiating with terrorists. Story is on page 6. Markwe.
Well, you know that video that made the round yesterday, I guess it's still making the rounds today, of an interview that was conducted by Sahara reporters some time ago. It must have been in 2014 or thereabouts, was shortly after the kidnap of the Chibok girls. And it was an interview granted by the governor, current governor of Benue State. And that video resurfaced online, a classic example of the internet never forgets. Who knows, maybe you just might get to see the clip today where he talked about what government should do when people have been kidnapped in a state, in a country, and how all options should be on the table. So I guess the governor must have seen that, and he's talking about why he's reviewed his past position on negotiating with terrorists. The question is, what will be done? Because it is obvious that we cannot leave, people who have been kidnapped by this terrorist in their hands. I mean, right now they've killed at least 5 of the students taken from Greenfield University. We saw videos yesterday of those taken from Afaka pleading for help. Are we to abandon them? In the meantime, what are we going to do? If negotiating is not on the table, what are the options that are on the table for the Kaduna State governor? And I think that's a question he needs to answer. But let's look at leadership newspapers this morning. They also have stories linked to security. Buhari bows to pressure, seeks U.S. help to tackle insecurity. It's a page 4 read. Wants AFRICOM headquarters relocated to Africa. Terrorism in Nigeria complex, as according to the United Kingdom. Senate accuses executive of incompetence. Says Nigeria inching towards a failed state. Declare state of emergency now, reps tell president. 7 feared dead in Benue IDP camp attack. Are we still fearing that they're dead? They're dead. I mean, that was confirmed yesterday. Their bodies were laid on the road. High Court raised as gunmen kill 2 soldiers, 1 other in Ebonyi. It's a page 4 read. Consumers experts condemn plan to hike electricity tariff. And you also see there, we can't surrender Kaduna to criminals. That's according to the governor of Kaduna State. It's a page 16 read. Other stories there. Olu of Warri, the need to heed Okowa's call to support Prince Emiko. There has been some controversy over who takes over the stool of the Olu of Warri, but Prince Emiko has been selected. And you might want to see details on page 7. Consumers experts condemn plan to hike electricity tariff. Oh yes, I'm a consumer and I'm not going to support it this time around. Oh, come on. We just increased it a few weeks ago. What are we thinking of again, increasing it? I don't know. Chamberlain, maybe you have answers. Page 4 will give us more details though.
Zuma. Because I think it's about the laws. They need to look at those laws and see what can do. They can't just keep... take a look at Daily Times just before we go to the next one. How to check drift to anarchy by Atiku, Lawan, Saraki, Tinubu, Zulum, others. So, who's listening?
Well, that's a big question there. News Direct very, very quickly. Lead story, defaulters. ICPC drags 2,000 firms into tax net. That's according to Owason. You find the details on page 3 of the paper this morning. Or you may also want to read, I won't allow paid agent to tarnish my image. Guess who? Pantami. The details are on the inside pages.
Well, there you go. That is it with a look at some of the dailies here this morning. We're back in a moment.
The House reiterates its commitment to the security and corporate existence of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and will therefore accelerate its engagement with stakeholders at a special security summit that is being organized by the House of Representatives. 4, the House urgently invites the NSA, the service chiefs and paramilitary chiefs, and the MD of NIGCOMSAT to brief the House on the security situation in the country. 5, considering the security situation, the President should immediately declare a state of emergency in the security sector so as to fast-track all measures to ensure that the restoration of peace in our country. The federal government should ensure the protection of national infrastructure and assets, particularly the Shiroro and Kainji dams in Niger State. 10, the House mandates all its security committees to immediately commence a comprehensive audit of all military and paramilitary assets and arms and ammunition in our armed services and revert back to the House within 4 weeks. 11, that the number of personnel in the police and military falls far short of the required number to effectively secure the country, and the House calls for immediate recruitment to this effect.
Well, those were the resolutions that the House reached yesterday, being reeled out by the Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila there. And that's going to form part of what it is that we're discussing this morning. We have with us Honorable Obinna Chidoka, who is the Chairman, House Committee on Environment and Habitat, and also a member of the PDP. Welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you. Just a correction, former Chairman.
Oh, former Chairman, beg your pardon.
Thank you.
And we also have with us Ben Wonye, who is the Chairman, APC Enugu State. Yes, Chairman, APC Enugu State, and also Secretary, APC State Chairman Forum. Is that correct as well?
Yes, it is. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. Well, let me start with you, sir. Your state has come under fire in recent times, starting from the attack we saw, the brazen attack we saw on the police headquarters and also a correctional facility, the release as a result of that, of over 1,800 inmates who were in the prison. And then shortly after that, we saw some other sporadic attacks in some other communities, also on police facilities. And then over the weekend, we saw an attack on the country home of the governor of Imo State. And right now, what the House of Representatives is saying is declare a state of emergency as a result of some of the attacks they've also noticed in the southeast, because it's not just been confined to Imo State, and also other parts of the country. Is it a motion that you would support?
No. The answer is no. However, at this point, we need everyone to come together. We need patriotic leadership. We don't need this kind of statement. A state of emergency will, of course, lead to undemocratic process. What we are having is a national challenge. In a national challenge of this nature, we need to tone down the rhetorics. We need to reassure our people that more could be done to get the life and properties
Let
protected.
me get you clearly. You're saying that a state of emergency shouldn't be declared, despite all that has gone on in your state and despite all that is going on around the country.
No, that's Imo State, by the way. I'm Enugu. But in any event, it's southeast. And there's insecurity, obviously, everywhere. But the police and the security agency, they are doing the best they can.
Is there a reason for that? I mean, why would you not support a state of emergency?
Because when you talk about a state of emergency, you lose some of your rights, some of the inalienable rights provided under the Constitution. The democratic process, which is already put in place, the institution of democracy, you also have to give way on that. In some instances, the elected individuals would have to step aside. And then you might begin to talk about introduction of military rule. We don't want that. What we need is to come up with a solution. What we have is not just peculiar to Nigerian state alone. This is a worldwide challenge. You look at all over the world, you have one form of insecurity or the other, including the advanced world. If you look at the US today, what they're talking about is gun control. That is their own form of insecurity. They don't declare a state of emergency. What we need is a bipartisan decision-making process where we don't politicize it. This is not an APC problem or a Buhari problem. It is a Nigerian problem, which Nigerian people, the leadership, need to come together.
You don't think that the House of Reps saw it as a Nigerian problem when they asked the president to declare a state of emergency?
I don't think that it was considered very well, because if they consider what a state of emergency means, what it entails, it will also affect all the democratic institutions, including the House of Reps, okay, if it's put in place in that order.
Well, Honorable Chidoka doesn't seem to agree. What are your thoughts on, I mean, what was the House thinking when they asked the president to declare a state of emergency?
You know, Mark, we represent our people. And shortly before we took that resolution on the floor of the House at the executive session, we sit together, I and a few of my colleagues, one from Zamfara, from Niger, from Kano, and we exchange notes. Why we do this from time to time is to see what's happening in other parts of Nigeria where you're not from. I'm from Anambra State. I'm Obosi precisely, representing Idemili North and South. And I found out that the issues that confront me is similar to those that confront somebody from Zamfara, from Niger, from other parts of Nigeria. And the stories are not palatable. The stories are not right. People are dying on a daily basis. We cannot sit and fold our arms and say, let the killings continue. First of all, I must give it to the Speaker of the House Representative, Femi Gbajabiamila, who before now, in fact, the inauguration is going to be today at 3 p.m. of the National Ad Hoc Committee on National Security, for us to take a holistic view from all our inputs to advise the federal government. We have been passing motions and bills and resolutions to this executive, and nothing has been done. What we're saying is a state of emergency on security. So what does that mean? It means that we are going to give a marching order to the security chiefs, to the security apparatus, whom in fact we have invited to come and brief us, and all the paramilitary groups. So that, and it also means us doing things differently. Now we're going to be recruiting more people. We're going to vote more money to it. We're going to have to review our intelligence unit. We're going to have to review some of the units we have within the police, within the army, and within the armed forces, for them to go in there and make sure that we bring peace. I saw somewhere you're talking about AFRICOM. I was in the House of Rep in 2007 when the Americans came and said they wanted AFRICOM to have a base in Nigeria or somewhere within West Africa. And now this is some of the things, when you declare a state of emergency, you are supposed to invite some of these people. I don't see, there's nothing wrong in having the military from the UK or the intelligence unit from the United States and everybody coming here. Homeland Security, in fact, has just started a new investigation into internal security. This is what happens when you're very proactive. You have to be proactive. You can't sit back and watch. We have to be proactive. In my constituency, during the EndSARS riot, about 4 police stations were burned down. In one of them, the police officer was put on fire and beheaded. And you don't need a state of emergency? What are we talking about?
Well, he's afraid that, you know, yes, rights will be suspended He said inalienable rights will be suspended as a result, and that he's also afraid about political actors losing positions for which they have been elected.
The question I have to put to him: what right does he have today? What right do you have that you can be driving? You can be a student of 16 years old going home in Ogidi, for example, and you get shot. What other right do you have? Do we have the right now? We don't have the right. So it's better for us to take actions that will protect lives and properties. And I keep saying it. Sometime in 2016, the Yaradua Center and some other agencies brought out a documentary, and it was titled Nowhere to Run. It was an environmental documentary that talks about the effects of climate change. So from Lake Chad all the way down to Akwa Ibom, where you have the rising water levels and all that, they say there's nowhere to run. And that's what's happening to us in Nigeria today. There's really nowhere to run. I can't go to the southeast the way I want to. They can go to the northeast. Most of them haven't been there. And I will tell you my experience of going to Bama in 2018. I've been there. We drove from Maiduguri to Kunduga all the way into Bama, 68 kilometers. We knew what we saw at that time. And if some of the issues we are talking about were addressed at that time, then these issues wouldn't be there. So what right does he have today? That you are an elected official, you pass motions and resolutions, and it is not being taken. Some young men bear arms. Some of these young men are unemployed, unemployable. There are no jobs. There are no social safety nets. With all the trillions we've put into social safety programs, which is not well managed, and they're left to nothing. Let me tell you, one of the things you can do is to speak truth to the dead. And who are the dead? It's not only those who have been killed by the insurgents. You are also talking about those whose allegiance are dead. What allegiance do you have to the state of Nigeria? I was watching what's it called? A WhatsApp documentary or a movie someone sent to me. And this is sent by an army officer who is leading a company somewhere in the southeast. And you see these young men all seated together, all smoking, and they're comparing guns. One said this is not AK-47, this is AR. The AR is better than the AK-47. One said this is metal, he's referring to an axe. And you see them, and one of them said Nigeria must go down. And so when you see all those things and you know that even as an elected member, we are not safe. As an unelected member, you're worse off. So what right do we have? So we have to take an action that will make sure we'll go there and protect the ordinary person. I don't fear for my life today. No, I don't. I sit at the National Assembly every day to make sure that I bring the dividends of democracy to our people in the southeast and in the north and south by passing bills and motions and resolutions and speaking what the truth is, bringing their opinions to the national level. You get frustrated when things are not done when they are supposed to be done.
Let me come back to you, Mr. Benue. I do not know how you're receiving that. I mean, because he's saying that in any case, our rights are already breached. There's nothing to fear anymore about when it comes to rights. If just yesterday or 2 days ago we heard, we've heard governors lamenting, the governor of Benue State, talking about, why wouldn't the federal government declare a state of emergency? The governor of Niger State saying Boko Haram is only 2 hours away from Abuja. This is after communities were sacked. 50 villages, we understand, were sacked. And people have been displaced as a result of that. In the past, we've seen the governor of Nasarawa State come to the villa to talk about how Boko Haram have taken over certain roads in his state. And all of these things keep going on. I mean, we've also seen visuals of students who have been kidnapped. 5 of them already have been murdered in cold blood. And all of these things happening, almost on a daily basis. Before we get over one, we're inundated with another one. And you say that we shouldn't declare a state of emergency?
Yes, my heart goes out to the family of the deceased. And when you look at what is happening in the country, we must come together. It is not a partisan approach. It is not a time we make statements provocative statements, emotional statements. As leaders, we understand that things like this happen. You are in a country of over 200 million, I mean, approaching 300 million. For many, many years ago, the leadership of this country have not matched up the security apparatus in terms of personnel with the growth of the nation. So what you have is people coming up and pumping up with their own arm. But I agree with the reps. We should recruit more people. We should have more personnel. We should get more arm to match up with the policing unit. I think I looked at the number of police in this country. When I looked at it on the Google, it's showing somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 or 370,000 for a population of close to 270 million people. That is abysmal.
And even they have become very vulnerable. I mean, they have become targets as well.
Exactly, and that is because of the number. When you compare it to countries outside, or rather cities outside this country, take LA for example, a population of LA County of about 10 million people, and they have close to 1 million police unit with the sheriff and everything. So it is matching the force. So when you have over the years, the developmental planners, the politicians, and that includes holistically, whether the executive, the legislature, and even the judiciary, they watch the population grow. And then we did little or nothing about the security apparatus. You can't wake up one day and you say, declare a state of emergency, and we do all the recruiting today, and then we buy more weapons. This thing started for long. Buhari's government inherited this thing. We saw it. Buhari did not create Boko Haram. It was in existence. APC government did not create that. It was in existence. They did not create kidnapping. These were all in existence.
You talked about how things shouldn't be viewed from a partisan lens, but it would seem that you're going down that route of it being partisan. Because if that is the case, some people will say that's why your government was elected, that you won the election in 2015 majorly because of the security situation in the country at that time. And that's what, I mean, if you look at the president's acceptance speech and his inauguration day speech, that's what it focused heavily on. There were marching orders to the security chiefs at that time to relocate to the northeast to see what it is that could be done. And it was seen that there was some progress made at the time. What a lot of people do not understand is the kind of reversal that we have seen and how complex and how much of a spread that reversal has now, gained across the entire length and breadth of the country.
That is why I say that we need to come together as a people. This is a situation where we need to show more patriotism, come together and look for the solution.
No, but don't you think we have to understand the problem first? Because we have even seen the Nigeria Governors Forum. This is made up of both governors in the APC and in the PDP, asking that the presidency help make sense of what is going on, because it would seem that even they do not have an overview or a very clear picture of what is challenging the country. Do we understand first and foremost what is challenging Nigeria?
I think the leadership of this nation is not just the presidency. Just like the rep, they sat up yesterday and they came up with resolutions. And they are thinking about putting together a bill. The same way the governors, when you sit down and you make certain statements, provocative statement, it doesn't show leadership. It doesn't show patriotism. We are in a difficult situation.
What statements are you referring to in particular? I'm
referring to statements, the ones made up by the governor of Benue State, when you focus on the President Muhammadu Buhari as a person. The killing of the people in the IDP camp is condemnable.
Don't forget that this is a governor. I'm not holding breath for him, but I mean, some people will say we have to contextualize the happenings in Benue. This is a governor that has come under increasing attack from non-state actors. Don't forget that only recently his own life was threatened, where he had to basically run for dear life on his own farm. This was something that also saw him visit the villa afterwards. So if he's speaking again, you don't think that there is a context from which he is speaking?
See, I'm my own self, I've been attacked. People have come to my home to kill me. But as a leader, you watch what you say because people are looking at you. What counts? We can't just say let everybody go and pick up arms. We can't advance chaos, anarchy. We should be looking at other countries that have done that. What happened to Rwanda for those period of time? We should be looking at countries like Myanmar province. We should be looking at Yemen. Do we have to just say, okay, because this is happening, we need to push in soldiers on the streets? We need to suspend our rights. We need to suspend the constitution. We need to just, everybody should be on their own, that no right we have. No. We need to calm down and look at this thing as a Nigerian issue. And look at solution, look for solution from anywhere we can find it. Both the religious authority, both the legislature, and every good people of Nigeria should look at this.
What solutions are you proposing? It would seem that you understand, you have a different or you have a clearer understanding of this picture. What solutions will you be proposing?
First, I'm thinking that we should have calm, first of all. We should get more recruitment. This is an economic issue. When the population has grown for many years, and we did very little to check it. What we have is basically political industry. Everybody wants to go into politics. And then those left out are left out to start for themselves. People like me and him, the political elite, become the target. Okay, so we need to look at this thing holistically. Not looking at it, oh, they are carrying arms. Why are they carrying arms? Why are they kidnapping for money? They have no jobs. They have nowhere to run to. They believe in that the elites have this job. Why can't we apply Kaduna Road? Because they believe the politicians are going back and forth Abuja. And that's where the money is. So we need to look at this thing, create job, get more policemen. We don't know for a fact how many. What the number, as you're killing the policemen, is supposed to be obviously recruiting more. They are at war. Okay? We are sending people on peacekeeping. How many of our policemen are out in other countries doing peacekeeping? It has to be an overview, a holistic review, which they call for, which I appreciate. There have to be continuous recruitment. You can't have a nation of close to 300 million being guarded by less than 400,000 policemen. Okay. It is impossible.
Let me ask Honorable Chidoka whether he agrees with your diagnosis of the problem. He believes that it is largely economic. Do you agree?
First and foremost, I must say that if you notice, I'm wearing black. Is symbolic of just the resonance to associate with those who have lost their lives in these mindless killings. Of course, everybody knows that what's happening in Nigeria are multifaceted, including the economic issues he's talking about. What are the economic issues? That we're an importing nation, we're not a producing nation, that we're a nation that is solely dependent on crude oil, majorly. And for the past 20 years, we haven't passed the PIB. And I don't see the urgency of now in passing that bill. In as much as we're working on it, I want to see a better urgency in terms of the engagement from the executive, whose bill it is. Recently, one of the IOCs in either Angola or Mozambique invested $15 billion. I want to see the urgency of now. We're a country that should be having 100,000 megawatts in terms of infrastructure, which is linked to the economy. We only have about 4,000 megawatts. What do we produce in Nigeria? When you go to the ports, what are we shipping out? We're importing. There's a lot of enormous pressure on the foreign exchange. There's so many issues in the sector. The informal sector, which should drive the economy, is at its lowest ebb. And so, of course, it's economic. We should be able to rejig the economy. Let me go back. When we keep talking about what we inherited and what we do not inherit, he is APC chairman in Enugu State. The speaker is the number 4 man in this country. He is of the APC. The APC have majority in the House of Reps. It is bipartisan. We have looked at it. We represent the people. What he's talking about, there are some members who can go home. It is that bad. And besides, apart from the 11 points that we raised yesterday. I also had a different view yesterday from what they, suggestion from what they did yesterday. And that was re-echoed, or that first echoed by a colleague of mine who is from, I think, Jigawa, who said we needed to have a meeting with the president. We don't need to invite the president anymore. We want to show him the urgency of what is going on by going to him, the 360 of us, not just the leadership. And we sit in an executive session with him. There's something the speaker did yesterday. We went into an executive session yesterday about 1 o'clock or thereabout, and we didn't come out to almost 4 o'clock. It's never happened. Because what he did was to sit back and listen to everybody. So the president needs to listen to us. On the 23rd of March 2019, while he was being voted, we were being voted. He wasn't everywhere in Nigeria. It's not ubiquitous. We are everywhere campaigning for those who are APC, for him, while we are campaigning for PDP. Today, I wear 2 hats. I'm here as a PDP man and also as a House of representative who cares about what happens in every part of Nigeria. So when we sit with him, we're going to look at him eyeball to eyeball and tell him, and what I will recommend, if you cannot deal with the situations, you should do the honorable thing. What is the honorable thing? In Nigeria, when we speak the truth, everybody becomes the enemy. I'd rather speak the truth today and go home. He should resign. I'm sorry. Why do we get elected? Why has he been running the election for five times? Because we take authority. In the House of Representatives, we have taken 360 of us, 259 of us, have taken our rights and given to the Speaker. So whatever happens in the House of Reps, you hold the Speaker responsible. Isn't it true? And that is why the man is leading from the front. So in Nigeria, the 200 and something million of us, we don't even know how many we are, have taken our rights in voting a president, or those who voted for him, to make sure he takes authority. We don't know it all.
I will ask how your, because you said that was your stance, your personal stance yesterday. How was it accepted? And perhaps through it also to Lagos, my colleagues, for my colleagues' questions when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. The state of security in Nigeria is the topic of our discussion this morning, and we still have in the studio Honorable Obinna Chidoka, who is the former chairman, House Committee on Environment and Habitat. And we also have with us Mr. Benue, who is the chairman of APC Enugu State and also Secretary APC State Chairman's Forum. I'll flip this now to Lagos for questions from my colleagues.
Thank you, Malkwe. Honorable, let me begin with you. You have heard said over and over again by a good number of people, some of them governors, even as far as the presidency, say that some of the things responsible for the insecurity that we have been traced to prominent politicians. Of course, we don't know their names. And I'm wondering if you know of that, and how significant do you think that is? How serious is it, in the whole conundrum of this entire security stuff that we are talking about? What kind of conversations are we having with these unnamed politicians?
Thank you for that. I think that if somebody is claiming that they are unseen forces or hands or politicians who are involved or who are foiling these crimes, I think that the time has come for them to mention names. You can't just make an allegation and just leave it at that. You must have done your due diligence, do your investigations, and be able to identify those who are behind this kind of crimes. So it's not just on the basis of allegation. We want facts and figures. Now it's enshrined that the CSOs, they are the chief security officers, though some of them say by nomenclature. But of course, you should have that briefing from the security agencies, and you should pinpoint it where the issues are. We're in dire straits. We're in a very difficult situation. And I must say that most of these governors, I keep using the word, Mark will say, why am I sorry? I'm sorry, are leaving their states worse than they found it. They haven't done anything better than that. Some of them have huge security votes. And besides, I don't see the proactive nature. I remember in the first tenure of President Olusegun Obasanjo, he brought about what is called the irreducible minimums for PDP governors. When you go to certain states in America, he lived in America, he knows they all look alike. Some of the things you find in one state, you find in the next. But you go to Nigeria, you find out that most of them are not even articulating their positions. There are states in this country where the governors haven't successfully completed a flyover, not even a bridge. And so all I hear is just coming here to sit down. Some of them, when we used to fly, we see them in the commercial planes. We don't see them anymore. So it's upsetting that we're all here just romancing the issues, just rubbing over the issues or glossing over the issues when people are dying on a daily basis. So if you say they are politicians, you should be able to know who they are and be bold enough to know that you have to name them, and of course the security agencies will go after them. As I said, when you're dealing with certain, of course, we have created almost 3 or 4 what will I call it now, groups who are attacking Nigeria. And one of our colleagues put it in a succinct way. He said they are the bandits. They are the violent, extremist Fulani people who are killing people on a daily basis. And there's the Boko Haram. And he says that one of the things we should avoid is for Boko Haram to unite the 3 of them. We're talking about the Northeast now, and some of the things happening most part of the North Central. Because when the 3 of them who don't agree ideologically now come together, then there'll be problem. There'll be behavior problem for us. Because these Fulani men are just taking advantage and taking over people's properties and cattle and all that. And the bandits are criminal elements. Now go back to the Southeast. What is going on? You find out that from information I have today, crime and criminality has increased. Forget about, there are those who are agitating for the state of Biafra. But now, the criminals have taken over. So when you see some attacks, they will say, we didn't do this, but who did it? And so we can't sit back and watch. And some of us, the governors are, I don't know, they're nowhere to be found.
Well, Honorable,
so
if you
must make sure that...
Well, if you don't mind me butting in here, I mean, the people who made these allegations, as one would call it, are governors. And as you know, they have information that is not available to many, many of us. I don't know if you have all the information that they have. The governor of Zamfara State made this comment after the rescue of all of the children that were abducted from his state. The governor of Imo State made the same allegation after the attacks. And if a host of people have said the same thing all across the country, especially governors. Even at the presidency's level as well, we've heard such things said. And that there are certain politicians who are behind these things. Otherwise, one wonders, where would people who are unlearned and who do not have access to the kind of resources that can help them to purchase AK-47, get them, and be moving around the country? So if this information is available, what guess can you hazard as to why the security agencies have not been able to take them on? Are they that powerful?
That is a very good question. If you're making an allegation, you should be able to accept the allegations you're making. I see on other crimes where when there are issues in the papers, in the press, media, print, electronic, you see names. You see investigations going on and names are being rolled out. Okay, let me ask you also, how many arrests have been made? How many have you seen out there and said, okay, this is the people who are behind this or who are behind that? Let's just not hide under a canopy to subsume the major issue we have in Nigeria. 3 major areas: infrastructure, economy, and security. And part of the reasons why this government was voted was that they said they were coming in with change. They said that what we had with the PDP was not good enough and they want to bring in something better. And I want to ask the average Nigerians, are they better off today than they were 6 years ago? What has happened that the APC is in majority in the House of Reps, and majority in the Senate, they have more governors, they have the presidency, they have everything. They're in charge of the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the police, the DSS. They're in charge of everything you can think of. So what is the issue? Why do you have those kind of issues coming up? Why can't they sit together and deliberate on the issues? So I think the time has come for the president to genuinely engage Nigerians. Let's have a different discourse. Let him be able to come out and address certain issues. And I said in the floor of the House of Reps yesterday that I think there are low-hanging fruits. The allegiance of many in Nigeria has died off. And he needs to bring everybody back on board. What am I saying by that? Just a bit of readjustment. A bit of readjustment. You're a journalist. Look at the positions. In the House of Reps, we jokingly call it juicy positions. Look at the positions today, from the FRS to the police to NNPC to everywhere. Just look at that. The other constrained parts of Nigeria are not feeling part of Nigeria. You need to, bring them in. If you have people from other parts of the country who are in position of authority and in government, what you need to do is to call them with the ministers and say, go back to your state and talk to your people and find out what the issues really are.
Okay, let's ask Mr. Nwoye.
So just like the late Ojo Madeko.
Yeah, pardon me. Let me bring in Mr. Nwoye on this one. I mean, having heard the governor of Niger State, he said it several times as well, that he's raised the same challenges and concerns with the presidency. And nobody seems to be listening to him. We've heard, also saw Benue State governor go to the villa, tell him about what he thinks and suggestions of what they think should be done. The same thing with Benue and some other governors. But it appears as though they feel frustrated that they're not being listened to. And you keep saying people need to calm down. What should they be doing at this stage then?
I don't think that they are not being listened to. But it's frustrating when you see your people or human being being slaughtered. When I say people need to calm down, we need to unite as a people. In 2011, when we had the 9/11 in the United States, the Republicans and the Democrats did not point out to then former President Bush and say he needs to resign, or to say that because there was a security intelligence failure, the country should cease and introduce martial law. And that seems to be where I differ. We have the capacity, the intellectual capacity, and we have the people, and we have the security agents doing their best. The issue of security is not, or insecurity, it's not just limited to Nigeria as a nation. It is everywhere. It is everywhere. So when a governor sees that people have been slaughtered, they don't need to mount on a podium. And yes, you can become emotional because they're human. But we need to also understand that what counts? What counts? We have no other nation but Nigeria. We can't talk as if this country is already collapsed, as if we no longer have a nation. The people of faith, the traditional institution, the civil societies, and the politicians need to come together and understand that we don't have any other nation. If we're saying that this whole thing is over, it is finished, then, like my brother here said, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? We have no other place to go. So we need that calm. We need patriotic statements. We need patriotic position. People going on and say, oh, the president should resign
more people into the army and all of those. But are we addressing the root cause of the problem?
Yes, we are. But this thing is not like a light switch where there is insecurity. You touch a button and then it's over.
You want to give us an example of what has been done to address the challenges or the root cause of the problems that people feel it's going on? What has been done?
Well, when I say take the time to... When I say that it takes time, you have a country of close to 300 million people. We have almost, let me call it pandemic, unemployment situation. We don't have industries. We are just cranking out young people, those who went to school.
Mr. Moye, let me ask you pointedly now. You know, even the president has said if anyone is found bearing AK-47, they should be shot at sight. Then you know that there are criminal elements within the headsmen who are taking advantage of that position. Do you think anything has been done to address those killer headsmen who are going about killing and maiming people?
The issue is not just killer headsmen. We have banditry going on in certain places of the country. We have kidnapping going on in certain locations. Then we have the Boko Haram going on. People prosecute this kind of guerrilla warfare against the nation. The nation have internal security issue. It did not just start this year or last year or in 2015 when President Muhammadu Buhari was elected. I still say that the structure of this country as it is presently put together does not support the type of security system we have. So we need to go back and review
just 1 second,
the
Mr.
theory
Moye.
of state policy.
One of the things that you have just said now underscores a need. You've said that it's not just killer herdsmen, we also have banditry, robbery, and all of that. And you heard the honorable gentleman sitting beside you ask how many arrests have been made in order to stem the tide. Can you hazard a guess?
No. When you say high, I think that's a hypothetical question. How many arrests? The security men and women are working hard every day to secure this nation. We only
if
look
you can
at
just
failures.
answer, if you can just give
death.
us an idea, Mr. Moye, of how many people have been arrested as a result of some of specific, unrests in different parts of the country, and how many that have been arrested have been prosecuted as a result? You would agree that that would be a deterrent?
No, it wouldn't be a deterrent, sir. I am not in a position to give you a number. If you're looking at specific, then you will need to get the Nigerian police chief, the IG of police, to come in here and give you a number. Or you get the DG, DSS to give you numbers. But what I'm saying again is that we need calm. We need more patriotic statement. We need to get together as a people, not as a partisan people, not as that it is the fault of this group of politicians that have been elected. Not that we could have done better if Buhari was not elected. No. These challenges all over the world. At this moment, at this material time in the United States, their own security problem.
Yeah, Mr. Moye,
violent.
You know, the governor, the comments of the governor of Niger State, everybody heard it. And could you tell us, do you know, has there been any deployment? Has there been any immediate response to his government? Because if he says they are trying to take over a certain area in the state and then launch from there because it's just 2 hours drive, you would have thought that alone is enough to trigger a huge emergency situation. Has anything been done about that?
That's exactly why I say that word counts. As leaders, we can't go into the situation of alarmists. He knows who to call. He's the chief executive officer of Niger State. We can't just go in and say, oh, they're about to take over us. They have run us over. He knows who to call. But when we become emotional and when we think that our hands are tied, and then we take on the podium and we make press statement that set up panic and then make it look like the men and women who are on the street defending this nation as if they've done nothing. No, we need to give, these are people laying down their life for this nation. They are working hard every minute.
All right, that's taken, but let me throw it to Honorable Chidoka now. Well, you have said a number of things, and I'm pretty sure you may want to react to a thing or two that you have heard Mr. Moye say. But I want to ask you, I mean, one of the things that a number of people have said is responsible for this insecurity, the spate of insecurity that we have, is unemployment. You heard Mr. Moye also mention it. I'm wondering, as a member of the House of Representatives, what do you think has been done or can be done to stem the tide of unemployment, lower the figures, so that at least we can have more people in employment and create a more conducive environment for businesses to thrive?
Well, thank you for that question. So every day we bring about economic bills, and we engage the federal government on the need to diversify the economy, on the very need to diversify the economy, and the very need to, of course, make better use of the social safety nets and all the social programs that they've brought about. So part of the things he's been saying, that which I of course do not really agree with, is that it is in the purview of this government, who, when taking over government, should know what the issues are. Without power, you cannot be very effective and efficient. Without infrastructure, those you are sending to the farms cannot bring out their produce. Without an effective system. And so what you do is that, okay, let's take for example, you know for sure that part of where most of your earnings come from is from the oil and gas sector. This government have been in place for the past 6 years. And they've seen how the revenues from the oil and gas have dwindled. I should think that a responsible government should have looked at another avenue for us to at least come to a level that will help us get earnings that we can deploy to other sectors of the economy. And part what everybody keeps saying in the industry is the PIB, Petroleum Industry Bill. What is the urgency in that? Secondly, other sectors of the economy. What have you seen done? And so I just said to you here in National Assembly that we're frustrated because sometimes we bring about resolutions and we bring about bills which are not being listened to. And then we've talked about also, even some of us in the PDP have talked about reducing the cost of governance. We talked about subsidies. We talked about inefficiencies. We talked about leakages in government. Every day we hear about probes. Those probes come up after the fact. The monies have been stolen. The monies have been shared. And then you bring this to us to probe. Probe what? And so you see that every day. Even during budget sessions, he had to take the president to mandate the agencies to come and talk to us. Some of these agencies, you're calling them, they don't want to come. Some of them are violating the acts that set them up by spending monies without approval. So it's a bit frustrating when you look at it and you see what can be done. I remember when the president was given the rare privilege by the then president of the United States of America to come to the U.S. and receive at the Andrews Air Force Base and, of course, rolled out the red carpet and all that. What do we see? Do we see the big boys, which I wanted to say the other time, the little John Monaco called them, the people in the room, the ministers, the essays, who will come with him and then sit back after he discusses with the president, he hands them over, and we have the collaborations. And those collaborations will bring FDI. So we're talking about, in real terms, in the last week, Twitter, Amazon, name them, everybody's going to Ghana because of the conducive environment in that country. And so when you bring the enabling environment, you will find out that the inflows will come, the job opportunities will be created, monies will come out, and people will begin to get gainfully employed.
Well, maybe I think Amazon is South Africa.
Oh, South Africa, sorry.
Yes, but
sorry.
Let me quickly, ask you. I mean, because we're talking at solutions right now.
Yes.
Did it come up? Because right now, a constitution amendment is going on.
Yes.
I mean, aside those who are agitating for secession, which you're aware of, there are those who say there needs to be a fundamental restructuring.
Yes.
Is this something that the House of Reps is taking into cognizance in the current constitutional amendment that is going on?
What is our duty? Our duty is to listen to the people. We're elected to listen to the people. What do the people want? Structural adjustments? Having to restructure.
Structural adjustment. I think we need to qualify that because I mean, structural adjustment recalls brings to mind SAP, and I don't think that's what the people are asking for.
No. So what I mean is just to restructure the federation, as it were. Some have brought about different propositions.
Do you, in your own honest opinion, think that it will make any difference? The kind of restructuring they're asking for?
What I think about is about now. What I think about is about now. Of course, it will bring about a difference in the way the country is run if everybody should go back and make use of the natural resource they have and have a bit of more fiscal autonomy and will contribute to the center and all the ideas espoused by everybody. But I think that as a legislator who represents a people, it is the views of my people that count the most. Who want allegiance to this country. And I can tell you what my people want. Those who elected me, I'm not talking about everybody in particular, but those who elected me.
What do they want?
Who want to be part of Nigeria, who want to produce the presidency of this country.
Okay.
Who want to be in the center, who want to be recognized, who want to be given some positions, who want to be able to say we're part of Nigeria.
Is that what your people are also saying in Enugu?
I hope he's elected.
He's a politician. Who knows? Maybe he's feeling their pulse as well.
We want a secured nation where people can pursue their various aspirations without hindrance. Not just Enugu, the Southeasterners, the Igbos, they don't need hands out or hands. They just simply need the secured environment to do things for themselves. And so when you say, is that what my people want? They want peace. They want to be able to live with normalcy, normal life. So when they talk about the restructuring, when the APC government came in place, if you recall, in 2015, that was part of what we had.
Some people also think that, you know, the presidency right now, even though there are fears around 2023 elections, nonetheless, they believe that, you know, as it gets closer, the country should be firm in saying that it's been zoned to the southeast. Is this something that you're supporting?
Well,
it's yes or no, because we've run out of time.
It's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Of course. Answer that.
Yeah, of course I can answer that, but you know...
Let me answer.
Well, yes.
Okay.
No.
So you're both agreed?
No, unequivocally.
Yes.
It's not a mention of, oh, yes. I'm telling you that this is the issues that we're having on the front burner, where a people feel alienated from their country, where we feel that we need to be part of this country.
So on this one question, you're both agreed?
It's not about just both agreed. This is what we want.
Okay.
This is the issue we're looking at.
I think it's a fine place.
And we must be able to be sure that we deliver to those who elected me to go there to speak on their behalf, to make sure that the federal government listens.
Gentlemen,
and besides,
we really have to go. We really have to go. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Honorable Obin Nachidoka is the former chairman, House Committee on Environment and Habitat, a member of the PDP, and we also had with us Mr. Benue, who is the chairman, APC Enugu State, and also Secretary, APC State Chairman, Governor, Chairman Forum. Thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. Well, that's it for this segment. We'll be back with more on another segment for you. Please stay with us.
Protesting host community and inmates at the Abagana IDP camp in Makurdi, located along the Makurdi-Lafia Federal Highway, concerning the dumping of 7 corpses of those killed by suspected herdsmen in the early hours of Tuesday. The IDPs and the host community are chanting protest songs, blocking vehicular movement from both ends, demanding action from the federal government to end the herdsmen invasion, killings, and habitation of their ancestral land to allow them return home.
We are not happy any longer. They say that we should submit our arms. We have submit our arms. And now the Fulanis, they are attacking us. We don't have any other thing to do. They say anybody that move with cutlass that they should arrest him. The Fulanis that move with AK-47 and nobody is here to say anything. 5 days ago, they killed so many within the same community. And they have been killing, there have been so many killings. And we, as a community, we say this should be the last killing. Otherwise, we will go to self-help.
Governor Otom, who did not hesitate in calling for gun licensing for his people to repel the attack, asked President Muhammadu Buhari to call his kinsmen to order, convene a national security summit, and live up to his responsibility of protecting lives and property before all is lost under his watch.
Go to Guma, the same killings are taking place. Go to Benue West, the same killings are taking place. This is not right. The federal government have refused to take proactive steps to arrest this ugly situation that we're witnessing here today. You send these people away from their villages, they came here to take refuge. And today, they are being killed in this manner. Over 70 people have been killed in the last 2 weeks by these herdsmen. They no longer come with their cattle. They come because they are looking for livestock they are to kill. They have even sent messages that except livestock guard refuse to take their cattle so that they will come and graze on our farms. And this we say no, it will not be accepted.
70 persons, according to the governor, have been killed in the last 1 month in Benue State, from Benue West to Agatu, Makurdi to Guma, with no actionable intelligence to track the perpetrators, just as the statistics for internally displaced persons surpasses over 1 million people now displaced.
Barrister Georgina Dakpopo joins us now. She is a member steering committee of the National Consultative Front and also the immediate past National Secretary of Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC. Barrister, welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sure that you must be, I don't know, let's say, troubled as to the happenings in the country. How have you been receiving news of things that have been happening in general across the country?
It's frustrating. It's disheartening. It makes you want to just lose heart about the whole situation, as if let Nigeria just end already, because it doesn't make sense. I heard one of the past speakers talking about, oh, when there was 9/11, we need to be more patriotic. When there was 9/11, both Republican and Democrats worked together. And that, to me, shows me that they are so far-fetched, far from the reality on the ground. 9/11 was outsiders attacking America. What we have here is Nigerians attacking Nigerians. More so, the President of America came out and addressed the nation, not as a party man, but as the President of the nation. He spoke to the people. I don't know where my president is. I heard he's in the villa. I saw him coming back into the country. I don't know where he is. I don't know what's happening with him. He doesn't talk to me as a citizen of this country. He doesn't talk to Nigerians. He doesn't bring us together. He doesn't address the situations we are going through as Nigerians. It's unreal. It's like a movie that this is not happening, but it is happening, painfully so. We wake up each day to the news of people dying. And now we've become indifferent because we have to protect our mental health. Because you take this all in, definitely there's going to be a nervous breakdown. It's inhuman. It's not imaginable. You can't imagine it. It's just crazy.
It's really hard. I mean, on a daily basis to even read the papers, you know, open social media.
Yes.
And it's there as well. I mean, and there sometimes is even more real because the people who are directly affected sometimes get their voices heard.
Yes.
On social media platforms. But you are, you know, you've been in political circles. You have been a member of IPAC. This is a conglomeration of almost all the political parties in Nigeria. Is there a way that you're raising these issues to say, gentlemen and ladies, you know, what is going on here? Is it possible for us to proffer solutions? Is it possible for us to, you know, raise this? Because security, if any government is in power or anybody is seeking to be elected, the first thing that they should be seeking to provide is security. This is existential for us all.
Security and the welfare of citizens.
So what is the conversation happening within, you know, the circles that you belong to, National Consultative Front and also in IPAC?
Well, we are law-abiding. There's basically nothing much we can do from outside the corridors of power except to talk. And we've been talking. We've been addressing the press, we've been issuing press releases. But it seems to fall on deaf ears. It's as if when you try to prefer a solution, you're now an enemy of the state. But what these people fail to understand is that when you're elected into office, you're not there as an APC member or a PDP member. You're there to serve the people of Nigeria, irrespective of party affiliation. But as soon as you're not a member of the party and you try to prefer a solution, then you're termed an enemy of the state.
Is that how you're being perceived? Most
of us, yes. Because, we hear aides of the president saying, they are frustrated people, they're not relevant, and it's befuddling. I mean, who does that? We are all Nigerians. We are entitled to have a say in how our country is run, because we are citizens of this country. We elected you there. And if you were appointed, you're not appointed because you're an APC member. Maybe you were. But you are there, once you're appointed into that place, you're now there to serve the Nigerian people, not to serve the interests of your party alone, especially when that interest clashes against the interests of the Nigerian people. So we have a situation with, sorry to say, but we don't have true democracy as it is right now in the country. We don't. We don't, because you talk, like one of our senators said, you talk, you die, you don't talk, you die. So what do? We have to keep on talking. And then, of course, we're having conversations about coming into power in 2023 and bringing changes that we hope will make things better for Nigerians.
How confident are you, though, about 2023?
You know, politics in election in Nigeria, is not as straightforward as it ought to be. If it was, then we'll be very 100% confident. But we have an electoral system that is not perfect. We have a system where most Nigerians that these things affect do not even go out to vote. So it's an uphill task, but that wouldn't stop us from forging ahead, because we are hopeful. We are going on out educating Nigerians on the need to get registered when INEC finally opens its books, to get registered to vote. Because as it is, we've never had it this bad in this country. Welfare, insecurity, it's terrible. So every Nigerian is affected. And a fallout from the NSAS was the awareness that they need to be more involved in governance. So we're trying to keep that momentum up, so Nigerians would see the need to go out and register and then vote on election day. If that happens, and if our electoral system is able to be as transparent as possible under the circumstance, then there is definitely hope. Not just for NC Front, for any other Nigerian who desires for Nigeria to be better.
I don't know if there are any other, and I don't mean to, highlight this in a negative way. It's just that it rarely happens that I get to talk to women about the security situation of the country.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, in political circles too, if there is any female movement, if you've seen any, or if you're part of any, that is about women, putting out their voices as well in terms of what is currently happening in the country.
We do. We have several movements. I think like the umbrella body of it is Women for Women, where Ambassador Nkoyo is like the coordinator. We have several platforms that have been set up by women, because of course we know we have a lot to offer towards making Nigeria better, and so we're trying to put heads together to make things easier for women who want to run for office, educate them, give them trainings, tell them what they need to do, and then try and bring us together to work together to vote for them and make sure they come into power.
When I asked you earlier about what you were doing, you talked about press releases in terms of your engagement. Well, the question is, have you been able to meet with any government official, government officials in official circles, if that's not repetitive?
We haven't been able to. We haven't been able to. It's not because we haven't tried to. We haven't been able to. And quite frankly, what's the use? That's my personal opinion. What's the use? Because you go to them, take pictures, we've heard, and it ends there. It ends there. As it is, the chief security officers of the states are confused. They don't even know what to do about the security situation. And then we have a federal government that is unresponsive. So what's the use? That's my personal opinion, not the opinion of ENSO-Front. But yes, we have tried to see some of them.
What are your thoughts as to why it would seem the security situation is intractable? I don't know. Do you have any ideas as to?
I don't have any solid evidence. It's just hearsay and based on what I see every day. But I think I have a cousin, for instance, that got missing at the war front in the northeast of Nigeria, and till date we don't know where he is or what has happened to him. There's no closure for the family. So I'm personally affected by this, and it seems our boys are out there. They really want this to end. They are fighting with their heart, but they don't have the necessary tools. They don't have the necessary equipment. They don't even have the necessary moral support to fight this battle. And then we have, like I said, the government is unresponsive at the center. We have agitations from almost every region of the country of the need to restructure, and that is not being addressed. So definitely when people are not getting the feedback, there'll be chaos. Because they feel, oh, wait, so I'm now on my own, I can do things by myself. So that's how we have all kinds of ESN and all kinds of bodies rising up and standing for agitation for their own state countries to come into existence. So we need a government at the center. Let's start from there, that's responsive. And then, like the last speaker said, we've heard people say, oh, they know those that are responsible for the insecurity in their states. Can the DSS do something, aside from going after private citizens, go after these people? I don't want to believe that they don't have this information, because if they don't have it, that means they should be closed.
You actually do believe that what is going on is political as well?
Some is political. Some, I have to admit, some is political, and some have tried to say, oh, it's religion and oh, the Islamization or Christianization of Nigeria. On the surface, it seems so. But beyond that, looking into it, for me, I think it's a fight between good and evil. And I think at this time, our elected officials should go beyond, I represent my party. It's about standing for good. People are dying on a daily basis. How can they not care? How can they put party affiliations above that? People are dying every day. Nobody is exempted, whether Christian or Muslim, whether northerner or southerner. They are kidnapped. I'm from a village in Edo State. People in my village cannot travel to the next village without fear of being kidnapped. That's crazy. I don't go home as often as I would love to because the roads are not safe. And I can't go by air, because if I go by air, I'll land in Benin, and then I start to go by road to my village, and that's not safe. It's as if we do not have a government. There's chaos. Indeed, the center is not holding as it is. Everything seems to be falling apart. So we need the government at the center. People say, oh, it's not Buhari's fault. It is his fault. The buck ends on his table. He's a chief security officer of the country. He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
How reassuring did you find the meeting or the executive session gone into by the House of Representatives yesterday and the resolutions that they came up with? It would seem that, both chambers of the National Assembly have put security at the front and center of their deliberations in recent times. Would you say that that has been of some reassurance to you as a citizen watching?
No. Because it's not the first time. I remember once when not too long ago, when the House of Representatives called the commander-in-chief to come and address to the House, and then there was so much noise and it died down. Nothing happened. So I'm not comforted. I want to see them put action to those words. Then I can say, okay, something is really happening. It's not just paying lip service to the problem at hand. That is what they've been doing, unfortunately. That's what they've been doing. They just come and, oh, we're doing this, we're addressing this. They speak so eloquently and speak so well. We're here for Nigerians, and then nothing comes out of it.
What more can they do?
Can they match those words with actions? Can we see the president coming to address Nigerians, for instance? Can they get the DSS guy, the DG, to come and address Nigerians, to address the house? What's happening? We heard this. So where are we? Do you know these individuals? Where haven't there been any arrests?
We understand that the security chiefs are coming they've been invited to address the house. I think before the end of the week they should be there.
I hope it's not just going to be the normal. Okay, you are working for us, so we'll not give you the tough questions. We need them to give them tough questions, and we need answers that we can work with, answers that can cause a change, a definite change. Let's see arrests. Let's say stop, an end to this craziness in this country.
For fellow Nigerians who are listening to you this morning, I mean, I don't know, are you optimistic? Can you tell them that, you as a Nigerian citizen believe that we will get through this? Is it something you believe?
He that is down needs fear no fall. I think we've never had it this bad. So we can only go forward from here. So my appeal to Nigerians is, let's try and keep safe as much as possible out there under the circumstance. And please, in 2023, do not gamble your next 8 years. It is only going to be 4 years, because whatever comes in 2023 is most likely going to continue for another 4 years. Let's not gamble.
It's not guaranteed now, is it?
Is it? Well,
is it guaranteed?
Looking through our history in this republic, it's always like that. So let's not gamble it away. Let's try and keep safe. Let's keep calm. We have just this country. Let's, as much as possible, bombard our representatives individually, collectively, through civil society. Let's bombard them to do the right thing, because repetition is the law of deep and lasting impression. So if we keep bombarding from every angle, hopefully something positive will come out of it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily. Barrister Georgina Dapopo is a member steering committee of the National Consultative Front and also the immediate past National Secretary of Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on. Well, we will not go without taking your mails. We have a number of them. This first one is from... Okay, but I've been told that we'll have to go on break. Those mails will come right after the break. Please stay with us.
COVID-19, a new strain of virus from the family of coronaviruses, has been recorded in over 200 countries, areas, and territories around the world. The highly infectious virus is transmitted primarily via droplets of saliva or discharge from the nose of an infected person through coughing or sneezing. These droplets can then be acquired by anyone in close contact through breathing in the droplets or by touching objects and surfaces with the droplets and then touching the nose, mouth, or eyes. While it's been said that some infected persons may not display symptoms, common signs of COVID-19 infection include dry cough, fever, sore throat or diarrhea, and difficulty in breathing. Do you or someone close to you have these symptoms? Call the following numbers.
All right, let's start off with this email coming through from Adekola. He says, it is beyond doubt that the terrible security situation in Nigeria is partly due to the settlement of bandits, terrorists, kidnappers, etc. in our many forests, designated forest reserves inclusive. The bad situation is the same in the forest reserves all over the South. It is high time the federal government and various state governments jointly carry out augmented operations with all levels of security agencies, citizens, organizations, and task forces to confront the national menace in the forest. We delay at our collective peril.
The other one, I'm pretty sure, is going to be speaking the same vein. For me, fine. He says the massive recruitment of youths into security agencies should have started 3 years ago. I've always believed that the solution is in the problem. The truth is that the criminals have been competing with governments in engaging unemployed youths. Sad, but what do you make of it, Malpa?
I don't think anyone can argue with that one. I mean, we've been told about 10,000 policemen being recruited in the last, I don't know how many years. Have we finally succeeded in recruiting 10,000 of the millions of youths that are unemployed? It's a big question. Look at this one from Chidiadi Victor. He says the insecurity in Nigeria cannot be handled by recruiting more security men alone. Well, that's the situation now. We need to know the root cause of insecurity. Unemployment, inflation, injustice is high. Until the elected leaders solve these issues, the country will continue to be like this.
Says a state of emergency is constitutional. It will be misguided to say that it will set aside the Constitution.
Odekule Kazim believes until we all come together with one word, then the issues will keep coming. Playing politics with every issue, this is really bad for us, he says.
And Honorable Ademola Alalade says, let's be honest. What's happening in Nigeria is a cumulative effect of bad leadership over the years. Nigerians by now should know where the problem is. We should now start to hold our leaders accountable. We have to change our attitude and elect credible leaders.
Well, Tito says, deploy the army to Niger State to dislodge those insurgents who have erected a foreign flag on Nigerian soil. Deploy the army to the Benue-Nasarawa border. Give governors in these states power over the army outfits. Anything short of that is collusion.
Still talking security, Comrade Francis says security operatives should stand up to their responsibilities and put a stop to these endless attacks. All stakeholders should be sincere to the Nigerian project and stop playing politics with the issues of national security. Nigeria is bleeding profusely.
And Emeka Onoha says one of the greatest flaws in leadership is for a leader to evade being responsible for whatever happens on his watch. Okay, that will be a word for some people. And Peter Spunky Okafor says, the main question that needs an urgent answer is what has been done or what is being done to address the insecurity situation of the nation. No one seems to be given a direct answer to this direct question. I don't know, gentlemen, is there really a direct answer to this question?
It's a big question, really. Who knows? But the important thing is, equally important, the perception that people have. Many think that it seems that the security agencies seem unresponsive to some of these matters. And so you just wonder the big question as to why. Even governments are asking, why? Well, speaking up, nobody's responding. So if there's that frustration from at that level, then you can imagine what the people feel.
It's interesting that one of the things, the question Mark asked is quite pungent, and I think you have also asked the question a number of times. You've heard the governor of Ekiti State, I keep going there, say unemployment is a core cause, and security agencies have said that security operatives have said that over and over again. If we don't stem the tide of unemployment, this is going to continue. So question then would be, what is being done about unemployment? I don't know if Mokwe has an answer to that.
Really?
I don't, but I woke up this morning and after thinking and, trying my best not to get depressed, for some strange reason, I just broke out into the song and I want to believe it was inspired. We shall overcome. I don't know where it came from, but I sang it with all of my heart. And it's one I would recommend to you too, if just in case wherever it is, you're doing today and, you see the headlines coming at you, just sing that song. You never can tell what will happen. I want to believe deep down in my heart that this is a phase and this too shall pass. Thank you for watching this morning. I'm Maukwe Ogun Yusuf.
I'm Makinde Please stay safe.
I'm Chain Belenuso. We'll see you next time.